All right, we are sitting down with April, Racing Xtravaganza. It's Queen April, I think, because I've talked to you throughout the last year or two and at different places and kind of got to know a little bit and we chat, but you do like a million things. And I'm not sure which one of them is your title. So you're
that's
here,
a great
you're
question.
there, you're everywhere. Tell me a little bit about what you do.
When people ask me this question, I just have to stop and laugh because I'll do anything from government grant writing to flipping a cheeseburger and everything in between. It really is. But if you want my title for Racing Xtravaganza, ironically, I am wearing a label on my shirt that gives the title.
Head bitch in charge.
That's right.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Queen April. I was right.
That's right.
I didn't know it, but I know it.
That's exactly
That's
right.
amazing.
That's right.
Can turn a little bit to see that. Look at that right there.
Yeah.
Other way. There it is. HBIC.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense, actually. So how did you get tasked with this?
So Scott Gobrick purchased this show in, I think 2016 was the first show. It had originally been called Dirt Trackin', and it was in a smaller venue here on the property, in the York Fairgrounds property, for over 20 some years. But it just started to have run its course and need some fresh. So Gobrick purchased it from Todd Fisher, ironically. And when Todd Fisher and Gobrick were talking about him taking over Racing Xtravaganza, Todd Fisher would say to him, like, well, if you bought my show, you might as well buy my track. And hence, Susquehanna Speedway, now BAPS Motor Speedway. This is where it all started.
Package deal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big package.
Yeah,
Hey, why don't you buy this show and a racetrack?
I know,
Like,
right?
who does that?
Yeah.
But Scott was like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. So I wasn't really involved probably the first 2 years. 2019, he was like, he was buying Lincoln, renaming BAPS Motor Speedway, couple other things going on in the mix. He's like, I need somebody that just takes this over. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll do it.
Oh, you volunteered.
I will never do that again.
Learned your lesson.
Yeah. 2019, I don't know if anybody remembers that show. I had big dreams. I was like, oh, we can spend all this money, do this, you know. We brought in the United States World Championship esports. And we had all these sim rigs coming, Wicked Energy
I was
gone.
here for it. I did it.
And I was just like, you get a hotel, we're going to do this. That show was amazing. We made not 1 cent on that show. And it crushed me. And I had to turn into a race promoter real quick.
Had to balance it out.
So then the next year I was thinking about it. Well, but then we got shut down with COVID. And so then you had, come back strong because indoor trade shows weren't doing well. And so we really scaled back expenses, but the teams and the fans still came out. And I thought, you know what? I don't need all the fancy stuff. We want to see race cars and people. We're hibernating all winter. This is where I haven't seen your face since the BAPS Showdown.
Right.
And this is what's so magical about this show.
It is.
I don't have to fill this space with anything like magical because the cars are the magic.
They are. That's what I grew up with, and it was always about the cars.
Yeah.
The other things are interesting, but it's always been about the cars.
Yeah.
And for me as a kid to an adult, I can walk around here in an hour, but I'll spend 3 because I'll see them 3 times.
That's
and
right.
to me, it will always be about the cars. And if the cars are here, people will come. The other things are they're great, they're fun. I'm not going to downplay any of them. The track should be here. People like shows and these media. Yes, that's fine, but it's the cars.
That's
it
right.
will always be about the cars. That's why we're fans anyway. And it is winter, and it do show up, and it's miserable.
Yeah.
But we get to come in here, and I'm like, man, that's cool. I get to be up close. They're not dirty. It's new schemes. Social media is kind of ruined a little bit of like the reveal part.
Sure.
But I still came here and I want to see these cars. It is about the cars, and it should always be about the cars. And the more cars you can bring, the people will show up.
Well, and just behind the scenes, the cars that you see here in January, they've gone from Thanksgiving through Christmas to about the first couple weeks in January to get ready for an entire new season. parts, decals, sponsors, garages, crew, all this stuff. It's basically like a startup business every year for them. So the cars that you see here, whether they reveal their schemes on social media, I hope everybody understands how hard it is to do this and get your car here and appreciate them, right? That's why we do this. We offer the floor space to the drivers at no charge. And the ones that take advantage of it, I cheer for them all season.
Right.
They're all my favorite. And I don't care if it's a go-kart or a big old super. It doesn't matter to me. It is hard. And so we appreciate all of them. And we totally understand.
And it is crazy because you think about when the season ended and if there were new partnerships, new deals, new sponsors, and you had to order parts. And post-COVID, parts ordering has not been easy. They're ordering, I've heard people ordering chassis and motors in September to get ready to not only to just get the racetrack, not to necessarily be ready for a show February 1st.
Exactly.
And the icebreaker, right? Whether you plan on it or not, everyone tries to have their car ready.
Yeah.
Some won't even get there.
Right.
So to have this ready is an undertaking for them. So very much appreciate anybody who can be ready. So, so this is what you're doing here. This show's done, wrapped up for the year. You're always going to be working on this show. Now we're going to see you at the racetrack.
Yeah.
What is your role there for the most part? Because I've seen you. I see you wander around as much as I do.
I was like, which one?
And I'm everywhere. And it's depending on which track. So do you have official capacities at these tracks, or is it sort of like anybody needs something done, it's going to be me?
I feel like I usually go to where the pain point is, and it's not always the same place. There's a lot of change in employee culture ever since COVID. There's a lot of change when you have a lot of growth. Or working with the townships. If there's ever an issue there, I go to that pain point. The staffs at both, or at all, I shouldn't say both anymore, Lincoln, BAPS, and McGrew building a new track. I won't do that again either. No, that was kind of fun actually, but we know a lot more now. We know a lot more now. Yeah.
Right.
But so I kind of go where that attention is needed. And so Gobrek and I always joke, do you ever picture the guy that's on stage and he's like spinning the plates on the tiny little thing and you keep him spinning and one starts wobbling, that's me.
You're fixing the wobbles.
That's me.
Fair
and
enough.
I'm not good at everything, right? But I will try to at least alleviate that pain temporarily and then move on to something else once we can get somebody in there that fills that role. So that's why you see me just doing everything and taking care of Gobrek. That's like
that's a job all in itself, I'm sure. So I love talking to Scott. The few times I walk up and say hi, he's always very cordial. So and everybody at BAPS and Lincoln Speedway has been great to me in my selfish little role, being a photographer and with the show and things. And you guys have been great to us. So I want to thank you for that. And while there's a mile-long list of people that have helped you to do this, thank a few special people that have helped put this together for you.
Oh my gosh. Donna Gobrek, first of all, and our kids. Like our kids are adults now. I won't say my age, but they have their own lives and we're not always available to them like we were before we started ownership in some of these racetracks and stuff. And just the way, like, for example, we're trying to figure out a summer vacation down at Bethany, 2 hours away.
Good luck trying to organize all that.
Do you think that we could find 4 days
that everyone's available?
And they're willing to change their schedule to make it a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday for us because we can't do Thursday, Friday to Sunday. We couldn't do it, without their support and their understanding. And we now have a grandbaby. So she's a priority, and she was actually at the McGrew inaugural Hyper Speed Week race, and it was like 115,000 degrees, and here's this baby just running around with her little earphones on, her face is all squished up, and I was thinking, like, she's never going to forget this,
But she's probably not going to remember it. She's little.
She won't remember it.
And
she's already been to BAPS.
You're going to remember it.
Exactly. But yeah, absolutely. And then all of our sponsors are like our friends, right? BAPS Auto Paints. if you guys haven't met the Berkheimers and the Hoes, gone into Dottie's, groceries, the Hive, they're a machine, but they're fun. We would go down to Charlotte to the Dirt National or Dirt Track Nationals, whatever it's called, and we'd be in a suite. And they're out there yelling for Broxier Foss and Brent, like all these people they're cheering on, and we were like, okay, I guess they're fun, because we were trying to be like polite, professional. We didn't know this is a business relationship, and then all of a sudden we're like, and just having a good time,
They'd
right?
be huge supporters of the racetrack and drivers, and huge supporters of just the sport.
Exactly.
And when Austin really wasn't doing wing sprint cars and still drives some. Does he drive it all anymore? I think, or is he done?
I don't think so. They were doing extreme stocks, but now their kids are.
Yeah, and they could have easily just said, "Hey, we're not." But they've recommitted over and over again in multiple ways. That's been a great. They've been a great partnership for the community.
Yeah, and there's so many stories like that, like McGrew bid Motoplex, and everyone's like, "What the heck is McGrew bid? Why didn't you make it York County? McGrew bid." Greg McGrew, who has Crownstone equipment and McGrew equipment, he's just as fun, So we can go to breakfast and he can be talking about this deal, that deal with GoBrek. Next thing you know, him and I are talking about Zumba, yoga, like whatever. York Excavating, huge help for us too. And I know I'm forgetting like 7,000 people.
There's a long, the list is long,
yeah.
But yeah, for sure. And all the people that helped put this together for you and your team to make this what it is, right? A lot of cars, a lot of people. Everybody's in good spirits right now. They haven't wrecked any race cars yet.
Yeah.
So that's always, pretty good. And these kids, man, we got a couple of them on here already, and they've been fantastic. They love it. They're eating it up. They're excited to have their race cars out here, and that's what it's about too. Is not just having them that they're race cars, but these other kids that are coming in going, I want to do that. That's what's going to keep this sport going. So thank you.
It definitely is the kids, and that's where that McGrew bid Motoplex, we run the junior sprint division there, and I think that age you can run at 7 years old up to 12 years old, I believe. And they'll come to the payout window, and these kids might be getting like $80. You would have thought they won the Super Bowl.
Amazing.
And not only that, but when we do Victory Lane, this is a funny story. So John Krall's our announcer there, and we don't really know a lot of the drivers, brand new, right? So the winner's coming up, and we're like, is this Archer? Are you the winner or whatever? It wasn't Archer, but it was some other random kid. We're interviewing him. Next thing you know, and they're like, everybody to Victory Lane, all the kids are in Victory Lane, and they're wanting John Krall to interview all of them. John gets up to the tower, and he's like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. He's like, I don't know who they are. And I was like, I don't care. Like, ask them, and they're talking about flipping. The one kid, flips on the track. We set them up right. They're like Matchbox cars, like, boop, right? And we, push them out. They have self-starters, which we love.
Yes.
So shorter time. But he says to our safety crew, he's like, well, where do I line up at? And our EMT's like, oh, honey, you got to ask your mom if you can keep racing. You just flipped upside down, And he's like, what? I mean, it's just a riot. It's so different. Yeah.
I want to get back there more this year. I went last year once, and I took my son to his first ever race, and he lasted like 45 minutes. But his attention span, he's a boy, he's 5.
Yeah.
He liked it, but it was hot, and there were some scoring things going on. It was one of the first few events. It wasn't long in, but I want to get back there this year, and I went to Millbridge the last couple of years, once each year, and watching the kids and interact with each other in the competition, and that it's an amazing thing. And so the McGrew Motoplex Friday nights.
Yes.
You get junior sprints all the way up to the 600s. And who knows what else this year. And they'll have a full season, which is great.
Full season,
Made a lot of changes too.
A lot of the PA micro midgets too. We love having them too.
Yeah, and they need a home, right?
That's right. They
really needed a home, and that's a great division. I think can thrive. And there's been some changes to the racetrack. Added some banking. I think I saw.
That's right.
A lot of they learned a lot from August to the end, and it wasn't a lot of racing, but they learned a lot quickly. I'm excited to get back there on Friday nights.
Yeah, and they've been so patient with us. Hyper Racing was one that I forgot to mention.
Hyper, huge.
And they've been helping to educate us because I didn't really understand a micro. In fact, last year at this show, the PA micro midgets, rented a booth, and they said like so many cars, and I'm picturing a quarter midget. They show up, and I'm like, oh God. They're big cars.
They're big cars. They're
awesome
midgets.
tires. They're really cool. So I have them all squished together. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know what that. Now I know all of them. They're up to like 50 member or drivers in their series
That's
this
awesome.
year. They're growing like crazy. But then Hyper sponsoring our 600s, our junior sprints, both weekend. I mean, they have helped us build the track. Rules, packages, all that stuff. We couldn't have done it with them. We're so green, yeah.
Awesome.
But I feel like this year is gonna be awesome.
Well, we
Yeah.
appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for having us, obviously, here to help for us and talk to some of these kids, actually, and obviously adults. We've had some of those guys on, and we have Olivia Thayer, actually. We interviewed her earlier, and our microphones wouldn't work, so we're going to have her back chat with her. She's a beautiful
Great.
race
Oh,
car.
yeah.
And she's actually a big promoter, not to spoil it, but she was talking about here for kids and the
Yes.
girls and looking up, there's little girls looking up to her. She's not a grown adult yet, but she is, but these little girls. So thank you so much.
Thank you
Have a
guys.
great
Hey, thanks
2025,
for everything
and
you
we're gonna
guys
see
do.
you soon.
I can't wait to
problem.
see you guys at the track.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yeah.